What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. In the video game world, we call this the Super Bowl of video game events. This is, ladies and gentlemen, E3 week. And I want to welcome you to special coverage on Merry NJ08 as we are official E3 news coverage streamers. And I'm going to be reporting E3 and Summer Games Fest on here. I was tweeting all day today, live at the Ubisoft conference, which we will be talking about here in this video. This is a special edition of Merry Chat. At the end of E3 week, after all the press conferences and live digital events, please come back to my show, Gaming Chit Chat, where we will do a best in show and find out at the end who won E3, who was the best in show, the top rated shows from lowest to highest, who is going to be the winner of E3, and also the game of show. What game shined the most? This is a very special E3 because we did not have an E3 last year. And E3 is back. Kind of. Remotely. It's definitely not the E3s that we remember, but hopefully it will go back to that. Hopefully next year we'll be back reporting from LA, watching the live stage shows, and things will get back to that. As far as right now, everybody is doing the remote digital conference, and today Ubisoft went. There was a couple other little ones that went. We had the PC show. We got Summer Games Fest going on with Jeff Keighley. But the big one today, the one to watch out for, was Ubisoft. All right, so we're going to talk about Ubisoft today. So I was tweeting all the major highlights, and I was talking about it, and the ones that I was very excited about. I hope you guys were too. Some of you guys were chiming in. Throughout the day, I was sending out trailers. I was sending out links to a lot of the gaming reveals. You guys were checking them out. You guys were checking out some of the links that I was sending out, liking on some of them. So I hope you guys kept up with the news, because I do realize, especially coming from my end, it's crazy to keep up with. I know E3 week is a crazy week, and there's a lot of stuff that sometimes gets past you. There's a lot of stuff that gets announced out of nowhere. A lot of stuff that gets announced in these press conferences, these digital events, and you got to try to keep up on all this stuff, whether it be DLC, subscription services, full games, expansions, and of course hardware, which this year is mostly software, right? So let's get right into the Ubisoft press conference. Started off with a big segment of Rainbow Six Extraction. Remember, this was the game that we saw a while back that was called Quarantine. Remember Rainbow Six Quarantine? We had heard about it for the longest time. It's called Extraction. Now, I had no problem with this gameplay coverage. It looked really good. I know some of you out there are die-hard Rainbow Six Siege players. So you guys are going to be really excited for this. I'm really excited for you to be excited. This was really a long segment. I thought it was a little too long. I kind of thought that if they made it a little bit shorter, I thought maybe the hype and the momentum could have gone. I notice a lot of times with these guys, mostly Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix, they seem to lose momentum by sometimes dragging segments out. This one seemed really long. But I guess if you were a really big Rainbow Six fanatic, maybe not. But I even had some Rainbow Six fans tell me today, it didn't have to be really this long. But they really went into detail. So if you really wanted to have information on Rainbow Six Extraction, you definitely got it with this press conference, and that was the opener. So, Rocksmith, a Plus subscription service. So if you guys don't know, Rocksmith is kind of like I don't want to say it's like Rock Band or Guitar Hero. It's more professional than that, where you can actually hook up real instruments. And it teaches you how to play them, teaches you how to read real notes, how to play certain chords. You could record tracks. It's a really professional software. And this is an actual subscription service that you pay for that will actually give you tutorials per month, songs and tracks to try out, and different things to add to your Rocksmith software. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, branching off of this, with Ubisoft in general, was there was a lot of, I call, hubbub in this conference. It wasn't just straight up games, right? It was a lot of advertisements, movie trailers, music, TV show trailers, and a lot of DLC, expansions to games that have been out already for over a year, and a lot of paid subscriptions. It doesn't help when it comes to ranking these conferences at the end of E3. I'll just say that right now. Now, I'm not going to be giving these reviews a number as I'm doing the highlights coverage. We'll get into that at Gaming Chit Chat on my show, on my podcast, once everybody goes and everybody's done and we rate them all at once. But I could tell you this right now. This happens all the time with like EA. It doesn't help. It doesn't help with the ranking. A lot of people don't want to hear about paid subscriptions. Gamers are very picky people. Gamers want to hear big reveals, and they want to see gameplay. They don't want to hear about having to pay per month for a service. And I don't know how many of their viewing audience is going to be paying for Rocksmith. I'm sure there's an audience for it. But I got to tell you, the stream chat, I was moderating the Ubisoft stream chat, and I was in and out of the chats for a lot of these gaming channels. The people were not happy. They were not loving a lot of the stuff that was announced, especially during segments like this. Being real. I got to give you guys the truth and the full coverage. Riders Republic. And I put in parentheses, remember the game Steep. So it's like, an ongoing service, an ongoing game, live game for sports, like snowboarding and stuff, like Steep was. And they show people doing flips, people doing tricks. So I don't know how well that's going to go. If you remember, the Steep servers fell off really quick. I mean, that game dropped quick. And I got to tell you, I hope this game does well, because I think these games could be really good. And to be honest with you, I love Steep. I still go back to Steep from time to time. I actually installed Steep on my PlayStation 5. So I am excited about games like this. I just don't know how well they'll do in general. Looking at past experiences of games that are similar to this. Like I said, Steep. Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. One of my favorite games, so I'm actually looking forward to new content for that game. I'm glad they're expanding on it. We knew we weren't going to hear about a new Assassin's Creed game, at least not right now. I'm glad they're not, pushing Valhalla out to sea, and that they're going to be expanding on games that are already out, because I still think that game has a lot to offer. I play it here often. I'm always going back to it on stream. Everybody loves to tune into it. So to have upcoming content for Valhalla is fine with me. I know not everybody's big on the DLC announcements at E3, but I think some games, it's fine. And this is one of them. Again, Watch Dogs Legion, there's Bloodline DLC coming out, so if Watch Dogs is your thing. For Honor DLC, again, more DLC. And I talked about the stupid media commercials. Far Cry 6 gameplay was shown. This game is on my radar. Now, of course, I'm no stranger to Far Cry. This new villain, even though they don't call him a villain, or he doesn't call himself a villain. This game, every single time I see more coverage for this game, I get excited and I get hyped. This game looks fantastic. I love the Far Cry universe. I like what they do with Far Cry. To me, Far Cry 3 will always be a masterpiece and one of the greatest games ever made. The other Far Cries were fine. I was even a fan of Primal. Far Cry 6 looks awesome, and they talked about the Season Pass already. I know people were getting a little iffy about that. But they did talk about DLC, and they did talk about the Season Pass. But they're doing something interesting with the Season Pass. I think people are going to be kind of interested. So you might be the kind of person that puts off DLC and Season Passes altogether, especially when they're announced before a game comes out, right? But they're actually introducing and showing the villains of past games. So like Vaz from Far Cry 3. And you actually could play as them. And there's different missions that you can do as the villains of past Far Cry games. So I think 3, 4, and 5. So pretty cool. That might be something that's interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. Mario plus Rabbids. Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Absolutely loved the first one. Absolutely loved it on the Switch. I thought that was one of the best Ubisoft announcements when the first Mario Rabbids announcement came out. Sparks of Hope seems really, really interesting. Kind of reminds me of like a Mario Galaxy vibe. Different areas, different planets, different enemies, different characters. Seems like it's got a cool story. Graphics, gameplay look really fun. And I'm a big fan of this. And we knew this was coming back. We had heard about leaks. We had heard that this game was going to make an announcement in some form or another. And I'm looking forward to this. Because of the joy and excitement that I had with the first game, I think this is going to be, when you're working with Nintendo, you're working with quality. So this game is going to come out perfection, whether it's your kind of game or not. It's going to be a quality piece of work. Then they showed a teaser for the new, I don't really want to call it new because we've seen it before, we've heard about it before. The engine that they're using now with games going forward with the next gen called the Snowdrop engine, right? And they actually showed it off with an Avatar game, right? An actual Avatar game. What's it called? Frontiers of Pandora? Yeah. An actual dedicated game to Avatar, because we know that the new movie is being worked on, coming out next year, I think, right? They showed it. They showed a really nice 4K trailer, and they showed that off as being the example of the Snowdrop engine. And that is pretty much how they ended the conference. I mean, that's the highlights. That's the recap of what you need to know. I'm not going to go into specifics overall ranking because I'm going to get to that on my Gaming Chit Chat show when we do the overall rankings and the best of show and the game of show. I do my E3 awards, I call it. But I could tell you it could have been better. Ubisoft is known for this. I don't think Ubisoft is ever expected to be top-notch at E3. But I was talking to some people, I was talking to some diehards that didn't really have the highest expectations for Ubisoft this year, and they were even let down. I don't know. I mean, I will say this. The Mario Rabbids announcement was cool as hell. The Far Cry gameplay was awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to some more Valhalla content. But I mean, and Rainbow Six Siege, Rainbow Six Extraction did look good. So I think it was all right. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the best. It wasn't knockout, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. But it was okay. It was pretty average. Take care, guys. I hope to see you for the next few days. E3 coverage, gaming news, Summer Games Fest, and everything else crazy hectic this week over here on Merry NJ08. Take care, everybody, and hope to see you on the next video.